Here.
Councilmember McCullough,
Here.
Councilmember Donovic,
Here.
Councilmember Jolly,
Present.
Councilmember Toy. I believe she's trying to join in. Vice President Barr,
Here.
President McIntyre.
Rosen.
Here. So we have all members virtually. It looks like Councilmember Toy is trying to join us right now. And at this time, I'd like to have the presentation. I'd like to present the minutes. These are the minutes from the 1,893rd regular meeting of the City Council that was held on Monday, March 23rd, 2020. Council?
Madam President,
Councilmember Jolly?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right.
And I'll support.
And supported by Councilmember White. Would the clerk please take the vote on the approval of the minutes?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye. And the minutes are approved unanimously. At this time, I'd like to take the opportunity to announce, and I'm sure everyone who's joined us by Zoom from the audience and from the public knows that we are doing this meeting virtually. We are following the governor's orders. The city is in compliance with the governor's executive order regarding essential employees, and also the governor's executive order that allows meetings of public bodies to be held virtually. And the way we are doing this is in compliance with her order. The meeting, the connection on Zoom was publicized, and I can see that we have 20 participants in addition to our city team who are with us virtually. So it's an odd thing to not be sitting in the council chambers, and a very odd thing not to be looking at the TV cameras, but thank you to everyone who's taken the time to join us this evening. At this time, I'd like to ask the other members of the council if they have any announcements or recognitions they'd like to present this evening.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Jolly.
I'd like to make 3 congratulatory announcements. The first is to congratulate and thank our recently retired police officers, both of which served 25 years for the city of Livonia, Michigan. Senior Sergeant Ronnie Wara and Senior Police Officer Brian Lee. They're both very good guys. I know we worked with them all through the years, and wish them well as they go forward in their lives. I'd also like to wish my daughter Claire a happy 7th birthday. Like so many children across the United States, she's in the basement trying her best to be quiet, and we'll see how successful she is with that as the meeting goes on. And lastly, I had a resident ask me to do something special for some family members of theirs, and I'd like you to indulge me here for a second. I'd like to wish a very happy 70th anniversary to Art and Jean Anderson of Livonia. Art and Jean bought a house on Idaho Street in Livonia in 1950 and have been in that same house ever since. Art worked as a contractor for almost 50 years, and he lists among his most accomplished work product, City Hall and the Livonia Sears on 7 Mile Road. They have 3 children that Jean stayed home and took care of and was the CEO of the household. And they now currently have 7 grandchildren and 13 great-grandchildren. Their family had planned a very festive celebration to celebrate their 70 years of marriage and also 7 years in Livonia together. But due to the current circumstances, they're not able to do that just yet. But I know they're planning to. So on behalf of the City Council and the City of Livonia in general, we thank you for being here for so long and witnessing everything that's happened in Livonia. And we wish you the best next 70 years as well. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. That was lovely and wonderful, and we wish them the best and are certainly sorry that they can't celebrate this big milestone as they had planned. Does anyone else have any announcements that they would like to make?
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Donovan.
in addition to Councilman Jim Jolly, I may have missed it, but I wanted to add an additional retiree from the Livonia Police Department, Scott Morgan. He served as the union president for many years, and he served the city of Livonia as a police officer for 20 plus years. So I just wanted to send a congratulations to him as well.
Thank you. We may not have gotten his official, the official notifications from the city sometimes lag, so we may get that for the next meeting, but I'm glad you brought that up. Officer Morgan has done a wonderful job, most recently serving, in addition to president of the LPOA, as the motor carrier enforcement officer. And as many know, Livonia is one of the few communities that has our own specialized, highly trained motor carrier enforcement officer. And he did an outstanding job. That job puts you in harm's way quite a bit because you're stopping semis on the freeway, and wish him the best. And we may have an opportunity to do that again, but thank you very much.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilmember White.
I think we should all just give a congratulations to the great job that our first responders are doing, all the grocery store workers, all the city essential employees, all the nurses, doctors, and medical professionals that are all working so hard these days.
I'm glad you brought that up, Councilmember White. We, as a governing body in the city and as residents with families and friends and loved ones in the city, I think that it's so appropriate that we just take a moment to reflect and thank the people that every day are out on the front lines. And certainly our first responders, they're in harm's way, as are everyone that has to go to work. The hospital, certainly because of the heavy caseloads of COVID-19 patients at the long-term nursing facilities and at the grocery stores and at the drugstores and everywhere. So thank you very much for mentioning that. And we are extremely fortunate in the city to have the city, but to also have the healthcare partners we do, the largest certainly being St. Mary's, and a number of businesses that have remained open because they are essential. And also, I'd like to thank the businesses in Livonia that are not permitted under the governor's executive order to remain open, and they have been wonderful about not going about their business. So a lot of thank yous, but thank you very much, Councilmember White.
Madam Chair,
Pardon me?
Madam Chair. Laura,
Yes, Councilmember Toy.
Yes, I'd also like to thank our residents for staying in and abiding by the staying in kind of venue that we're all trying to do and be quarantined to save others' lives as well. And for all those people that are in our hospitals, I want to say that we should take a few moments of silence for them in prayer. I have two very good people that we know in our community that are now struggling. So I think that we need to remember them as well as all these hard workers. And they're also asking all of us to tie a white bow on a tree or on a mailbox or something to recognize all our very hard workers and all those that are struggling with this various virus that is going around. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Toy. And I'd like to add to our prayer list, our long-time former aging commissioner, Dolores Smith, who's known to many people, not only for her work with the city, but at RG and GR Harris Funeral Home. Doris suffered a tragic loss of her last remaining child earlier this year and took a very, very bad fall this week and is at St. Mary's. And it does not have COVID, but of course the hospital is not a good place to be right now, despite all the precautions that are taken. So I think that's a great idea if we could just take a moment of silence and prayer or just reflection for all we know who are fighting this and for all who have succumbed to it. And as we know, we've had many in Livonia. Thank you. And in our list of thank yous, I think there was one group, and the problem is with calling people out, there's always someone you miss, but that's to the GFL team, who, as you know, has not skipped a beat on the picking up of the trash and recycling. There was some back and forth regarding the pickup of yard waste, and that was due to staffing issues, but GFL has stepped up and found a way to staff accordingly and has restored the yard waste pickup in all communities beginning, including Livonia, and with the first pickup resuming next Monday, April 20th. And on a happy note, I would like to also wish a very happy birthday to another good friend of ours, former Aging Commissioner Josie Smith, who is known to many as the mayor of the Senior Center, but wishing her a very happy birthday next week. All right, anything else from the council before we
Madam
move on?
President,
Yes, Councilmember McCullough.
I know we're kind of doing the roundtable, but kind of the fabric of our community under a pandemic like we're dealing with, I did want to give a shout out to all the service groups that are out there that are coming together, making donations of either food, financial contributions, even our businesses that are struggling. It's an incredible thing to see. It's one of those things that, some of the nice shining light out of the negative times of this. So just another shout out to our service groups.
Thank you, Councilmember McCullough. And also, as you mentioned, to our businesses who have stepped up. And there are several, I'm not going to name them because I will inevitably leave out one or two that are doing just as much as the others that get named. But I think it's fair to say that every business in Livonia that's been able to step up has stepped up and gone above and beyond. And also to mention on the subject of donations, if people do have donations of personal PPE, personal protective equipment, which now includes homemade facial masks, unopened packages of sanitizer or wipes, there's a collection center at the Kirksey Recreation Center Monday through Fridays from 8 until 10 a.m. And we've received many, many donations. And the other great thing about the donations that are received there, we can share those with Livonia businesses, essential businesses, primarily health-related businesses that need supplies. I know we've been able to share some masks and face shields with the nursing homes. We're not able, the law does not allow the requisition goods that Brian Kahn, our Director of Emergency Preparedness, is able to requisition for the city for our emergency needs through the FEMA process, which flows down through the state. We're not able to share any of those or give any of that any of those materials to any of our private businesses in Livonia, but with the donations we can. So thank you. And I'm sure I've missed some things, but if anyone else has any other final thoughts or acknowledgements before we move on, please feel free to share them. All right. At this time, we will go to the introduction of the department heads, and I'm going to have to scroll. I can't do my usual to my left and to my right. I'm going to go with who I see up on the screen. Beginning with our outstanding city attorney, who is always busy, but has been just exceptionally busy, more than usual. Is that fair to say, Paul? Despite a low crime rate, we've kept you and your team very occupied, I believe, during this. So Paul Bernier, our city clerk, Susan Nash, our director of engineering, Mr. Todd Zielinski, the city of Livonia IT director, Casey O'Neill. We have Sarah Kasperwich on the call, and she's been taking the place of our director of legislative affairs, Judy Prevey. I see that we've got Mark Termina, our director of planning and economic development, and we'd also like to acknowledge Mark's efforts. He's been one of the people leading the logistics work in Livonia, including the donations of the PPE at the Kirksey. So he's been wearing more hats than usual. And let me see. I think have I covered everyone on the call? All the department heads. They're again at risk of neglecting people. We have an exceptional leadership team. We have an exceptional staff of employees. I have the opportunity to see that when I participate in the 2 Monday emergency city meetings. One's on emergency operations and the other's on community impact. All of the department heads participate in one meeting or the other. And we cover everything that's going on in terms of the emergency needs of the city, but also the ongoing business. And I've always appreciated the leadership team of this city and of our employees, even more so when you see what they're doing and how they're rising to the occasion. And a special thank you to Brian Kahn, our Director of Emergency Preparedness. Many of you may remember that we brought Brian over to the city side after he had served many years and retired from the Livonia Police Department, where he had been the Emergency Management Director. We were able to retain his skills. He is doing an exceptional job and bringing all his experience and skills and training to bear. Mike Slater and Denise Mayer. Mike Slater is our Director of Finance, and Denise Mayer have had a lot of work on their plates, just extraordinary amounts. And again, I know every member of the leadership team has had extraordinary amounts. Those folks. All right, that's it. I do not have any, I don't believe I have any special announcements to make regarding X items or public hearings. I do not. So at this time, we will go to to audience communication. And I believe, Casey, if you could help me out, if I'll see a hand up. I now have the attendees. I think I now have the attendees up. And I don't see any hands up. If anyone who's in the audience would like to participate in the audience communication, and audience communication is your opportunity to address the council on any item that's on your mind related to the city that is not on this evening's agenda. Now is an opportunity to do so. And I want to make sure I see no one.
Madam President, I see Neil Guerin's hand was up earlier when you asked.
Okay, let me.
It was up for a sec. He put his hand up. There it is right there.
All right, all right, I'm still not, and I apologize for this. I'm still not seeing it. Todd, are you able to?
Unmuted him. He should be.
Oh.
Hello.
So we.
There you go.
Yes, I'm
right.
here.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Is it Guerin?
Yes.
All right. Please share your audience communication with the council. And I apologize for the awkwardness of this.
It's okay. I may be jumping out of turn here. I just I guess I just wanted to let you know I'm here for the first in the unfinished bid
Okay.
request to waive the sidewalk requirement.
Okay, yeah, we will be to you. This is, when I call that,
Okay.
I do it again, raise your hand. This is, and
Very
thank
good.
you, it's very confusing this evening. Audience communication is when someone who does not want to discuss any of the agenda items with the city has an opportunity, has 3 minutes to do so. And if any of the other council members see a hand up, I do not. But I do see that I was remiss in acknowledging department heads. And again, this is the problem. And not also acknowledging our outstanding public safety chiefs, Chief Hevener, who I believe is called in or is on the line, and Police Chief Cade. They're exceptional, like all of our department heads, all of the time. And, you know, are doing yeoman's work right now on so many different issues. And also I see that we have Jerome Hanna, I believe, has joined us as a participant. Jerome is the Director of Inspection, and he has offered to help investigate complaints about noncompliance and his staff with the governor's orders. And I would like to add that anyone who is working in essential services and has to come to work, we are 100% compliant with the Wayne County Health Department's orders that employees be screened for COVID-19 symptoms and their temperatures checked via infrared thermometer reads. All right, if we don't have anyone else from audience communication, and I do see that we've got Judy Preby who's here. And Judy is as I mentioned, our Director of Legislative Affairs, who's been out on medical leave. So she's here tonight too. All right, with that, we will move on. I do not believe we have any reports from the mayors or from other city officials. I'm sorry. Does someone have a report? Did I hear someone who wants to offer a report? Okay. Moving on. Let me, all right. I think that Laura Toy was accidentally muted. If we could make sure that Councilmember Toy is off of mute. It looks like she is unmuted. Anyway, what's a bit unusual about this regular meeting, we do not have a consent agenda to vote on because we did not conduct a study meeting to move any items to the consent agenda. So with that, we will continue with unfinished business. Item number 1 is a request to waive the sidewalk requirement. This comes to us from Neil and Teresa Guerin regarding a newly constructed home at 16601 Harrison Street. And I believe, Mr. Guerin, you are on the line, and would you
Madam
like?
President,
Yes.
I'd like to offer an approving resolution because this is the regular meeting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Support. Now, if we thank him for getting me back on track.
Who was the support?
Support was, I believe, Councilmember Toy.
Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we can go to the petitioner if the petitioner would like to address the council on this issue.
Yes, I guess we're requesting a sidewalk waiver because there are no sidewalks in that subdivision. Both sides of the street are lined with drainage ditches. It would, in my opinion, not make sense to have a sidewalk there. The entire subdivision has no sidewalks. So I guess that's all I have to say about it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Guerin. Thank you for joining us virtually this evening for the meeting.
Sure.
We do have an approving resolution that has been offered. Council, any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Johnson.
I'll just state that everything is in order in this. The view of the street landscape shows that there are no sidewalks. We do generally take these things quite serious and give them a good once over, but this is in compliance with the other waivers that we've allowed through the years as well. So I think it's perfectly valid. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, if not, would please take the vote on the sidewalk waiver for 16601 Harrison Street.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and motion carries. So, Mr. Garrett, you have been granted your sidewalk requirement waiver. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to item number 2. It's a roll call vote. This is the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance number 543 is amended. It comes to us from the Department of Law. It's regarding Petition 2019-12-0-1-8, submitted by Gary Bloom for a change of zoning of property located on the north side of 7 Mile Road between the I-275, I-96 Expressway and Haggerty Road, 390407 Mile Road, in the order of Section 6 from M1, light manufacturing to office services. The first reading was given by Councilmember Barr on Monday, March 23rd, 2020.
Madam President,
Yes.
I will offer second reading on this item.
All right. And do we have support?
Support.
Support from Councilmember McCullough. Council, any discussion?
Madam
Would anyone- Yes, I'm sorry.
Just to kind of go over, this is that, am I correct to say that this is the old historic property?
Yes, it is.
So just to let the public know that the zoning change, as it currently states as manufacturing, really does not make sense. And switching it to this zoning aligns better with what the property is.
Thank you, Mr. McCullough, and I was negligent in clarifying what this was, and as people who follow zoning, or if you don't follow zoning, OS, officers services, is considered a much less intensive use of property than M1 light manufacturing. So this changes the zoning, even though it's not been used as manufacturing. It would prohibit any M1 manufacturing activity from taking place on the property. Thank you for mentioning that, Mr. McCullough. Anyone else from council, or anyone else from the audience, or anyone from the audience wish to comment on this item? I don't think we have anyone who wishes to comment. So if the clerk would please go ahead and take the roll on this item, take the roll call vote.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy. Looks like she's muted.
It looks like she's muted again.
Oh,
Aye.
aye, okay. Vice President Barr,
Aye.
President McIntyre. Aye. So the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance for the property at 39040 7 Mile Road from M1 Light Manufacturing to OS Office Services is approved. And it will be the ordinance, the zoning change ordinance will become effective upon publication in the newspaper. Item number 3 is also a roll call vote. This is also a proposed amendment to the, this is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended, and this comes to us from the Department of Law to amend Title VI, which is animals. And this would repealing chapters 04 dogs, 05 reserve, 06 cats, 07 vicious animals, and 08 miscellaneous regulations to consolidate the ordinances in order to ensure the proper care and control of animals. And again, this simply puts all the categories of animals into one ordinance for purposes of the regulations regarding control of animals within the city. The first reading was given by Councilman Barr on Monday, March 23rd, 2020.
Madam President,
Yes.
I will offer second reading on this item.
Right, do we have support?
Support.
Support is necessary.
Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry. All right, then we could go ahead and we could take the roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the amendment carries, and the ordinance will be changed as indicated, and this will also become effective upon publication in the newspaper. And with this, we move on to new business. Item number 4 is an award of bid. This comes to us from the Inspection Department for the 2020 through 2023 weed cutting and property maintenance program from budgeted funds. And do we have a motion, or do we have, yes, council, do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that, Madam President.
And support from Councilman Jolly. And I believe that we have I believe he's still there, our Director of Inspection, Mr. Jerome Hanna, on the line. Mr. Hanna?
Hello, Madam President, members of
Good
council.
evening.
Thank you for having me here tonight. This is obviously this would have come in a little bit sooner, but due to everything that's going on, I'm thankful that we were able to have this meeting. And this will be an important contract for us. It'll obviously carry us through the 2023 season. So it'll give us 4 years of at this bid price. So with that, I'm confident that they can do the job that we're asking them to do, and look forward to getting this approved so we can, as soon as the shutdown is over, we can move forward to getting back to our lives and keeping the grass maintained in the city.
All right. Are there any questions from the council for Mr. Hannah? Would anyone from the audience, does anyone from the audience like to comment on this issue? I don't see that anyone from the audience wishes to speak. So that, Madam Clerk, we could go ahead, please, and take the vote.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye. And with that, the bid is approved, awarded, and it will go to, and I'm not sure if you mentioned this, Mr. Hannah, you may have, well, it goes to Urban Landscapes. And I think you mentioned that you have a lot of confidence in the vendor's ability to fulfill the terms of the contract and begin the work, which we will all be anxious to begin, which many homeowners will be anxious to begin if the snow stops. So thank you, Mr. Hannah. We appreciate it. And again, thank you for the work that you and your department are continuing to do during this difficult time.
Thank you.
With that, we go back to the audience. If anyone from the audience would like to communicate with the council on any item that was not on this evening's agenda, now is an opportunity to do so. Seeing none, but before I ask for a move to adjourn, I would like to also thank and recognize our Director of Department of Public Works, Mr. Don Woroff, for his work, and Mr. Ted Davis for Director of Parks and Recreation. Ted, in addition, Mr. Davis, in addition to the many hats he wears, he's also been working on the logistics items in the collection center at the Kersey Recreation Center. And so with that, council, I would entertain a move to adjourn.
So moved, Madam President.
Support.
I'm sorry, moved by Mr. Jolly, supported by supported by Vice President Barr. And I think we can safely show 7 on that. And with that, we are adjourned at 7:34 p.m. and at 8 p.m. we will reconvene for our study meeting. Thank you very much. And also thank you, Livonia Cable. All right, see everyone at 8. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.